My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and this is for Guitarist TV. We're talking with Ed Gage today, guitarist Ed Gage, based out of Los Angeles. How you doing today, Ed?
I'm doing great. How's everything with you?
Yeah, great. Last time I talked to you, I think you were working with another great guitar player, David K. Starr. You guys had a project called Wolf Chamber. Is that still going on, or you want to give us an update on that?
That's right, we did. Unfortunately, Wolf Chamber isn't active. And but Dave and I are still friends though.
Uh,
And of course his wife London. We're all still friends and all that.
yeah,
We keep in touch and all that, but I think it was just like a side project thing for
yeah,
everybody to do, which was fun. We're
yeah.
recording with Dave was great. But and Dave unfortunately has health issues,
Oh, okay.
I
I
think.
wasn't aware of that. That's too bad. But in any event, you're quite the busy guy yourself. You're a successful musician, actor. I understand you're into martial arts, and you're also a stuntman. So you're quite the busy guy, huh?
I try to stay busy. I try to stay busy.
So what came first? Like your interest in music, or your interest in acting, or kind of just both? Always been an interest.
So the funny thing is, it was actually both, and there's actually a crazy story behind that. Everybody gets really like amazed when I tell them how,
Uh-huh.
and it was because of a movie called Back to the Future.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, I've always been a huge movie guy ever since
Yeah.
I got introduced to movies at a young age, like that being one, and then that
Mhm.
opened up my music world too. I started to find an interest in Eddie Van Halen because of Back to the Future,
Oh,
because
wow.
of the demo tape that was featured in the
Yeah, I
movie.
was just reading up on that the other day. So I don't know if it was you or somebody else posted that, but it had a picture of Michael J. Fox and talking about this Eddie Van. I wasn't even aware of that until just
Yeah.
a few days ago, and I'm like, how has that been such a well kept secret?
Yeah, and it was that movie, and then when the scene where Michael was playing Johnny Be Good, when I was a little kid, I was like 2 or 3, I would air guitar to it in my parents' living room, and I was just like, I was like, I want to do that, and then like,
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story about Michael J. Fox that again, I don't know if this is fact or fiction, but I was doing he's from Canada, and I was doing a show recently on the history of the Canadian rock band Helix. And apparently, being from Canada, it claims that he once auditioned to be the bass player in Helix.
really,
Again, I don't
I
know if
didn't
that's
know
fact or
that.
fiction, but if that was indeed a fact, can you believe it? I mean, wow.
Yeah, Helix is a great band. I listened to Wild in the Streets. That's on my
Yeah.
playlist every now and then. But yeah, I had no knowledge of that, and I had the pleasure of meeting Michael at the age of 12, and what a guy, so sweet and down to earth. And
Yeah.
this is like right after the Future was released to DVD for the very first time.
Yeah.
My
Yeah. I love I love everything he's done from Family Ties to all the movies he done. Speaking of the Back to the Future trilogy, I mean, I got that years ago, but I mean, I just seen it in Target. You can get it like for $19. I'm like, hey, what a treat.
Yeah, and he signed my DVD cover back in 2004 he signed it.
Wow,
And then
wow.
10 years after that, I met actor that Mr. Strickland in the movie, James Culkin.
Okay.
One
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
signature on it. He said this to me.
Oh,
You're very
wow.
lucky to have that. He's like,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
very lucky to have that.
I bet. Yeah,
He
so
keeps
we're
it
talking to you
very
also
often.
today, Ed, because you recently put out a great cover of AC/DC's "Dirty Deeds." Let's talk a little bit about that. I think we're losing Ed here, so we'll see if we can get him back. Okay, I think Ed's okay. Ed, I don't know what happened. We lost you for a minute, but um,
Yeah.
okay. So you can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so as I was saying, as we got cut off, you recently put out a great cover of AC/DC's "Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap." So let's talk a little bit about that. It's a great song to cover.
Yeah, like what happened was, well, John Gallagher of Raven and Steve Grimmett and of Grim Reaper and we were already friends. And it was like one of those fan turned friend kind of
Yeah,
things. And so during the pandemic, I just said I really want to record. I was going back and remixing the stuff that I did for the Moth to the Flame EP because I was eventually going to put that out later on.
mm,
But then I said to myself, oh no, I kind of want to record something else now. And so my guitarist and my drummer in Buffalo, Derek and Nick, I said, hey, you guys want to do like a studio cover of AC/DC? And I kept it hidden from them that I was going to have John and Steve involved.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to surprise my bandmates, and I did. And I remember I reached out to John and said, "Hey, I hope you're staying safe during the pandemic," because it was 2020 when we started recording.
Okay.
And then I said, and like I asked John, "You want to do like a studio cover of Dirty Deeds? You also do backup vocals, and you could do Angus's scream at the end." And he's
Oh,
like,
wow.
"Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
love to."
Yeah.
And so I then reached out to Steve. Well, I had reached out to Steve before I had reached out to John, and I reached out to said, I guess it would be great to work with you. He's like, yeah, buddy, I'd love to do that. And to have a chance to record with Steve and even John, even to consider that that they're friends
both
of
both
mine.
both both legends in their own rights, but like I'd imagine the fact that Steve is now since this recording passed on, it kind of
Yeah.
means that much more to you. It probably takes on a new life, if you will.
It means a whole lot to me, just the fact that I even got that opportunity. And, it really hit me hard when I found out his passing. I was visiting New York at the time, and I think I was visiting my brother and my dad. And I think my brother and I had gotten out of the movie theater, and first thing I saw just as I opened is right when I saw
News
a
broke.
picture of
Yeah.
Steve. I think it was either Abaddon or Mantis of Venom Inc. And Venom.
Wow.
One of them, I forgot which one it was. One of them posted about it, and I said, "Please tell me this isn't true."
Yeah.
And then he showed me a screenshot. I think Steve's brother had posted about it, and that's like when everybody was posting "Rest in Peace, Steve Grimmett" and all that, and it really it hit me by surprise, and it hit me hard because I was supposed this past August, I was supposed to see him this past
Wow.
November. He was going to be doing a show with Ripper Owens. I still attended the show
Yeah.
regardless because I'm a fan of Ripper's work,
Yeah.
but I really was looking forward to getting a chance to catch up with Steve. And the one thing Steve asked me for that show, he said, "Would you like to come up and sing "See You in Hell" with me?" I'm like, I
Wow.
would fucking love that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just to even be asked that from him, it meant the world to me. Like it kind of I never told him this, but it kind of brought tears to my eyes when he asked me that.
Imagine, I
Yeah.
mean, what a fan moment. I mean, it's got to be kind of a unique feeling to be a fan of some of these guys, and then you're at a point in life where you're actually shaking hands and talking to them,
Absolutely.
and you got to kind of try to keep as professional as you can, and that's got to be a very hard thing.
Well, when Steve and I first met in person, which was 2018, we had already been friends on social media.
Yeah,
Like he would like my posts, and I like his posts. Was very supportive of my endeavors. And I remember when I met him at the Whiskey A Go Go, he said, "Hey, I know you." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." I'm like, I'm Ed Gage. We're friends on Facebook." He's like, "Oh yeah, Ed, I do remember you. How are you, buddy?" I'm like, "I'm great. I'm great. It's great to finally meet you in person." And we were friends ever since. And I was supposed to see him in 2019. He was performing in again in LA,
yeah.
but I was doing a commercial for Gucci eyewear, and it was a
Oh,
night
wow.
shift, so I couldn't get out because
Yeah,
I had commitments with that.
yeah.
But then I was supposed to see him again in
Yeah.
2020, and then the pandemic hit, and then 2022 he
He passed.
unfortunately died.
And that's why I love talking to guys like you Ed. And we try to create a community here where we post these interviews we do on other pages, try to get people to like them. And once we've interviewed you, as we said earlier, I've interviewed you a couple times before, not only just because you're a huge talent in your own right, but we try to, like I said, create like a family environment and support people, and especially people we believe in. And I think the fact that you got the talent you do, because obviously people are buying your music, people are checking out what you do. I mean, I wrote this down in preparation for today's interview. I went on your Facebook page. I think you said you got like 2.5K followers. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, to get 2.k followers on my Facebook page because I have my personal profile and my
Yeah,
page for the
yeah.
public. Yeah, I've had that page for 13 years. So it took
So
13 years, 2.5
that's dedication. A lot has
Instagram.
happened in that 13 years, I imagine.
Yeah, well, my Instagram is what really boomed like crazy because the thing is like I think when I did The Mandalorian and I did Westworld, fans were just bombarding me
Yeah.
on
I
that at
think,
one point.
and I think that's part of the success is when a guy not only has a musical talent, but you can combine like movies and acting and music and bring it all together. I mean, that's the ultimate.
I mean, that's how to do it. I mean, a lot of, I mean, prime example, Dwayne Johnson, he's a guitar player.
Yeah,
He's a rock
yeah.
fan too, and he went on to become a big movie
I
star.
mean, when you think about the fact, that guy started out as a wrestler, and
Right.
he made his fortune doing that, but he's doing just as good in the movies. It's like,
Yeah.
his biggest problem I think these days is deciding what gig to take, or what movie role. Or yeah,
Yeah, and then I worked with another WWE wrestler turned actor, Vladimir Kozlov. He goes under his real name now, Old Leg Prudius, but he wrestled for WWE like 15 years back, and now he's gone on to do like John Wick, The
yeah,
Punisher, and
yeah.
stuff
Some of
like
these
that. So
WWE guys, they're
yeah,
they're like rock stars too. I mean, they got that huge fan base, and I don't know what it is, but a lot of wrestling and metal fans oftentimes they unite and come together.
oh, they go hand to hand. And if in case you didn't know, the Attitude Era had a theme that was recorded with Kenny Hickey of Typo Negative, Scott Ian of Anthrax, and then John Oliva of Sabotage,
Sabotage, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I forgot who was on drums and bass, but yeah, it was like a
Anyways,
super group. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, sounds like it.
so it goes hand to hand.
Yeah. And then I understand you're writing a book. Still very young man in your life, but you've accomplished a lot. So let's talk about the book. The working title, I understand, is Redemption.
Yeah, working title is Redemption. I know that it's been brought to my attention. There's other book titles with that name, but I might put like Redemption, Redemption, my story of
Yeah,
Hollywood and my
yeah,
upbringing, something like that. It's kind of like a bit of a working title, but the book is going to be pretty much like I mean, I don't know if it's going to be entirely like a memoir or an autobiography because there is a difference between the two. But it's definitely going to be the whole entire purpose behind it, and the title says it all. Like I said, because when I was in my youth, I went down a very bad path. I mean, as a juvenile, I got in trouble with school, the law, like stuff like that, left and right. Luckily,
yeah.
I was never charged or arrested or anything like
You
that.
came
But
out on the other side, though. That's what's important. And you could be a role model for people. Say, okay, yeah, and I can talk to you guys about it because I know what you're going through a little better than the
that's
average
what I
Joe.
want to do. That's what I
Yeah,
want to do because, and what led me to a lot of my very destructive behavior in my youth was, not just bullying at school, but it was pretty bad, but also my home life. I started opening up about it more, but I dealt with a very abusive mother in my
wow,
youth. And and this is the thing, like parental abuse is very common,
yeah,
especially in today's world. So, and I know that whenever I see like stories where kids are, committing suicide, whether if it's from bullying or abuse of any kind, it tears my heart because it's like the fact that I've made it this far, it's like I know I can rescue these kinds of people from falling down a bad path in that
yeah. I'm
I can
glad you
show
brought
them.
that up because that's another thing that interested me when I was prepping for an interview today. Went on your Facebook page and I noticed there's a lot of stuff up there on bullying and how you're against it. I'm like, wow, that's there's a story there obviously, and there is, but you don't hear some people, but not too often, and oftentimes, you hear about these poor kids get picked on at school. They don't tell anybody. Nobody knows about it, and a lot of times they end up, taking their own life. And it's like, I mean,
Yeah,
if they just spoken up or somebody paid attention. Who knows?
yeah, and sadly enough, I almost became a part of that statistic in my youth. I'm glad I didn't, 'cause
Yeah,
look at everything I would have missed out on in life. I'm so grateful for what I have.
yeah,
The thing is like that's why, I want to try to empower our youth or even adults that go
yeah,
through this
yeah,
too. You'd be surprised bullying goes on with adults. I mean, it's crazy enough, I've dealt with a psychotic stalker too, and
yeah,
that's just as bad.
yeah. I mean, you even look at somebody like Mike Howe from Metal Church. I mean,
Oh yeah, Mike, such
how
a
he
nice guy.
tragically took his life, and I hear a lot of his bandmates have since, come and they've been talking about the fact that, oh, we had no idea whatever he was going through. He seemed like the happiest guy. He was always smiling, and obviously he was hiding whatever he was going through. But
The
it's funny
thing
that
is with that, the thing is with
people,
that is that people get too afraid to say
uh,
they afraid. A lot of people are afraid to look for help,
yeah,
and because the thing is, people want to say, "I don't want to play victim or anything." Well, it's like look at it this way: you're not a victim, you're a survivor, like whatever you're dealing with. And I
Yeah,
think, and Mike was such a sweetheart too. I had the pleasure of meeting him when Metal Church was touring with Doro. Paul Diano's former drummer from his band Battlezone, Steve Hopgood, he and I were hanging out at the Whiskey and we went to go see that show together. And Paul Diano's Killers, who
yeah, yeah,
Steve was also with, I think they toured with Metal Church one time.
yeah.
So Mike remembered who Steve was, and like we all got a picture. And what was crazy was the Metal Church page posted of all of us together. And but Mike was such what a guy. This is the all I'm gonna say now is the saddest thing I notice is, a lot of the nicest and most humble people that I've either worked with or met with, whether if it's film or music,
Yeah.
they all seem to pass away so soon. And then all the scumbags and narcissists
Yeah.
and assholes, tend to live longer. I won't drop names,
Yeah,
but
no, no, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think we know who they are, and Robin Williams is another one, great
Yeah.
talented comedian, and he suffered with addiction and drugs and alcohol problems for years. But a lot of people say now they think that he was a comedian and he hid kind of behind his jokes and comedy, but a lot of times they say comedians are some of the saddest people. And I mean, the fact that he hung himself in all that sad way that he did. I mean, a lot of his loved ones too say they didn't have a clue. I mean, could you imagine walking in and finding your loved one like that?
I can't imagine. And honestly, I don't want to. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I've seen enough stuff in life as it
yeah.
is.
To kind of get this back on an upbeat. I think though too.
Yeah.
A guy like that wants to help. You know, maybe you could make a movie about that. Maybe you could write a song about that'll stop some kids from taking their own life. And
I've got some ideas up my sleeve. So yeah,
seems
but
kind
the
of
book is also going to be it's going to start from like my youth and then
yeah.
come all the way until like, my days of working into Hollywood, like the celebrity encounters, the things that I've worked on. I mean, getting to be a part of the Star Wars universe, doing Westworld and getting to just meet or even be in the same room with these people
I'm a
too.
Star Wars fan, so I got to stop you there and ask. So, how exactly are you part of the Star Wars universe? I'd love to hear about that.
I was in The Mandalorian season 1, episode 4. I think I couldn't talk about it when we did the interview with
Okay,
Dave.
yeah, well, yeah, well,
Yeah.
again, like that's why we have people back because you're always involved in other stuff, and like that's why we're just going to do 30 minutes today. That's why I got to have you back. But I'm sure a couple of months from now you'll be doing something else.
I've got some stuff up my sleeve, so who knows? Who
Yeah,
knows? Honestly, that's why I don't want to put the book out for another maybe,
yeah,
who
yeah,
knows, 5 or 10 years. Because honestly, I feel like I've got so much more stories to
yeah,
tell that are going to happen along the way.
yeah,
But we'll
yeah,
start now writing. So yeah,
yeah. I mean, I know this other guy. He wrote a book, and then like 10 years later, he put the book out again, but he updated it.
I could do that too. Yeah, I
Yeah,
could do
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, and so John Gallagher, like, do you think you guys would ever like perform a song live together or anything?
John and I, yeah, honestly, I would love to because the thing is, like, for the future recordings that I
Yeah.
plan to do, I do want John back, but I know that he has Raven, and
Obviously, yeah, yeah,
I'm not gonna hold him back from his commitments with Raven, of course. But when he's got his free time, I would love to record with him again. As for doing live shows and touring, I would love to go on the road and I would love to tour. And I'm not the kind of person that tries to think about, money and all that. But the thing is, and realistically speaking, I don't want to come home empty-handed, especially
of
since
course, yeah,
I've got a family. So it's
yeah.
like, I want to be able to, come home and bring some.
Do you ever take like a movie or something, or help on a movie set, just maybe not because necessarily with pay, but just to get that experience, or uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes I don't just work as an actor or even a stuntman. Sometimes I'll work as a production assistant or in some other department too. Sometimes I've worked behind the camera too, just for the experience.
and how hard that is being a stuntman? I mean, um, did you kind of fall into that accidentally? Like, did you always want to be a stuntman, or kind of
Well,
just have?
I always considered myself an actor that does his own stunts,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Tom Cruise and
yeah, yeah,
Sylvester Stallone. They do a majority of their own stunts. I mean, as much as they
yeah,
can. But the thing is, I've always considered myself a classically trained actor first and a stuntman second. And
yeah,
but yeah, it's just like I've always grew up with like movies like Rambo, and then
yeah,
like I grew up watching guys like Chuck Norris, Steven Seagal, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and Jackie Chan,
yeah,
all those guys. So I wanted to like be able to do fighting on film. So when I got involved in martial arts, the door opener to doing more stunts and fighting on film.
Yeah, and martial arts, from what I understand, it's a way to kind of it's more self-defense than just showing off how you can attack somebody, you know?
Oh, there's so much more behind martial arts. It's not about how tough you are or
Yeah, yeah,
who you can defeat in combat. It's all about self-discipline,
yeah,
self-control, and also it's also like about, just, like being, knowing, and also meditation is a huge part in it too. Like, I'm sorry, my phone is blowing
sure.
up.
Go ahead. Yeah,
But yeah, like also like with martial arts, and it's very therapeutical too, because I mean, you especially, of course
yeah,
we spar and all that, but
yeah.
like we don't hurt each other, but
You never
we
really had to use it, I can imagine, but I can imagine if somebody was to try to attack you, let's say late at night as you're walking your car or something, they might look at you and think, "Oh, I could take this guy," but they don't necessarily know that you're trained in martial arts, and you might kind of
some people
catch
like
them
to
off guard, you know? Yeah.
some people have that mentality, oh, I could take this guy down, and then they find out the hard way,
Wait
because the thing
again.
is,
You better think about that. Yeah, yeah,
you never want to judge a book by its cover, but
yeah.
luckily I haven't been put in that position yet,
Yeah.
and
Thank God you. Yeah. Hopefully you
knock
won't.
on
But
wood, knock on wood that ever happens. But like, but I mean, me, I'm a whenever I go out, I'm 6 foot, and
yeah,
I have like a black bandana on
yeah,
or my black leather
yeah,
jacket. Like a lot of people are always, just a lot of people leave me alone for the most
yeah, yeah,
part.
yeah, yeah. And I was listening to some of the stuff you have posted on YouTube. One of my favorite songs is "Dreamer's Blues," and again, it sounds. I dig the fact it's a little different what you typically do. It's not full blown. It's like kind of metal blues, I guess that's the best way to describe it.
That's what
And
I
then kind of on the flip side, I listened to another song, Metal Messiah. That's okay. That's almost full blown on metal, and that's what I dig about a guy like you. You can kind of you're more of a one trick pony. You can do many different types of music. Or
Yeah, because sometimes with music, sometimes I'll have like maybe like a glam metal phase
yeah,
of playing. Sometimes I'll have a bit of a thrash metal phase, sometimes a speed metal phase, or even like a new wave of British heavy metal style phase,
yeah,
or sometimes I'll have a Van Halen phase or a Priest
yeah.
phase or a
There
Maiden
you go.
phase.
Yeah,
And it's like I kind of try to, like, experiment with different, sounds, but I think for what I'm gonna do next might be more maybe like 90s Judas
oh, I
Priest-esque,
love.
like kind of like the Jugulator
Yeah,
era. I
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of go for a heavier, like about the same heavy that I was for the Dirty Deeds cover.
yeah,
And yeah, so I've got some ideas up my sleeve of some new material that I want
yeah,
to write. And so I'm gonna be doing a lot of writing lately.
yeah.
So that I'm gonna be
Yeah.
having time to do that.
Yeah, but before I let you go, Ed, I got to ask. You mentioned being a Tim Ripper Owens fan. Have you heard his new EP put out a couple of months back?
Who's EP?
Tim Owens.
Yeah, yeah, I did. And I actually just saw Tim this past November, and I got to talk to him a little bit. And he's a wonderful guy, phenomenal
Because
singer.
I love the EP is all I was going to say, and I just think it kind of I don't know, it's kind of modern sounding, but it sounds like the Jugulator type of stuff he was doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And like I like that he sticks to his
what he
sound.
does. Yeah,
Yeah. And and he's a wonderful guy too. And he's very, very cool to talk to. I mean, he was kind of, well, the one thing about him is like before shows, he tries not to talk so much so his vocals are
yeah, yeah,
for stage, which I totally understand.
yeah,
That's actually perfect. With me, I'm a chatterbox at times, so I talk a lot before shows.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
he was
yeah,
really nice, and then we talked a little bit after, and I asked him, "Are you still doing guest vocal appearances? I would love to have you on a song in the
yeah.
future." He's like, "Yeah, I'm still doing it. Just hit me up." So
Well, that'd be cool. That'd be a cool collaboration. Who knows? Um,
yeah, be
Yeah,
amazing.
and in regards to Dirty Deeds, I got to ask you were the one doing this. You were just playing the guitar, right? And the other guys were doing the singing, or
I did guitar and vocals. The first part of the first half of the solo is Derek, and
okay,
then the second half, the hammer-on part, that's
yeah.
me. But like, yeah, but like the guitars were me and Derek, and then I was vocals, and then Steve did vocals, and then John did vocals too, and Nick
And how
Moran.
did they split their vocals? I mean, did you kind of just pick what part you want each guy to do, or did they kind of pick what they wanted to do?
Well, John did the backup, the
Okay,
chorus. John did
okay,
the chorus. Like we already said, like he could do backup vocals for the chorus and all that. And then I recorded my track doing a whole entire take on the song on my end.
Yeah.
Same with Steve.
Yeah.
Steve did a Steve did a whole track of just recording his vocals from start to finish as well, just like I did.
Okay. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm loving the new track. I can't wait to see what comes next. We'll definitely have you back in a few months, Ed, to see what you're doing. So let's definitely keep in touch. As you can see, I'm doing things new way. My friend encouraged me to learn how to do these Zoom interviews. They've been a lot of fun, and even yours today has a life. It's kind of has a different life. Um, that's what's fun about doing it. So take care, my friend, and this will be getting posted probably sometime next week. I'll be sure to let you and our mutual friend, the Lord of PR, know when it goes up. So I'd like to give him a shout out and thanks for setting this up today.
Yeah.
You take care of yourself, Ed. Thanks so much. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Have a good one.